It's getting to be time for the final stretch run of the fantasy baseball season. Maybe you're already deep into your playoffs. You think you already know who's going to help you win and who isn't. Until you look on the waiver wire and you realize there's some old names that all of a sudden are becoming interesting again. And the top of that list is a guy that honestly you'd probably forgotten about, partly because he's on the Angels. But Taylor Ward all of a sudden is the hottest hitter in baseball over the last couple of weeks because why not? He just had his 14-game hit streak snapped with an 0-for-3 night, and it was also coming off the heels of 3 straight games with a home run. Now, of course, the hit streak wasn't going to last forever, but he's still been red hot at the plate. If he's still out there in fantasy leagues, might as well pick him up until you are absolutely sure that he is cooled off. I made the mistake with Lawrence Butler, who I thought, okay, he had his run, he's done. Oh no, he's not. Maybe Taylor Ward just finishes this entire season strong with the rest of September. We'll see. But honestly, Ward has not been bad at all this year. I mean, he's stuck in a bad situation, but his numbers, as far as StatCast go, are really good. Now, of course, they picked up a lot in the second half. Since the All-Star break, he's hitting 280 with 7 home runs and 20 RBIs. And like I said, on the season, an 89th percentile barrel rate. But the one that really stands out, shocked me when I noticed this, was his launch angle sweet spot rate is the best in the majors, other than Freddie Freeman. That's right, it's the 100th percentile, technically. So you look at it, and there's a lot of names on there. Some might surprise you, but some don't. These are all guys who know how to get, as they would say, good wood on the ball, just making that contact exactly where it should go. Now, not all these are power hitters. Of course, a guy like Luis Arias kind of stands out, but how somebody with such weak exit velocity like Arias on this list able to hit over 300 and lead the league in hitting because he knows where and how to hit it. And that's the same with Taylor Ward, who actually does have power. And in case you're wondering, Aaron Judge is top 10. He's actually 10th on this list, so no worries. It's pretty valid. So while his upside is still a little bit limited, based on that lineup, Angels overall are at least putting up a fight. And I will tell you that if Taylor Ward is not available on waivers, you could actually look to Mickey Moniak, who has been actually pretty hot as well and also has power from the left side. He's somebody in deeper leagues who could also help you out. Now, another veteran who was largely forgotten and really discarded by his team midway through the season, you need to just go ahead and pick up Victor Robles. Not for the power, but of course, for the speed, but now also with average. It's easy to just dismiss Robles because, again, the Nats gave up on him, and rightfully so. If you look over the past couple of years when he actually had enough at-bats to qualify, because he's also had injuries, which is part of the problem, but he was actually one of the weakest hitters in the league in terms of horrible exit velocity, which is fine for a speed first guy, but look at that expected batting average, among the worst in the league for 3 years straight. But it seems like he seems to enjoy Seattle quite a bit. And in fact, since coming off the injured list not too long ago, about 2 weeks now, he's hitting almost 500 in that span with 5 stolen bases and somehow 8 RBIs, despite being in the leadoff spot for a team that has a horrible offense. And so I don't expect the batting average to be insanely high like it is now for him as far as how he's hitting, but his expected batting average this season is actually at a reasonable amount. It's about 250, right there in the middle. So the batting average won't go back down to the 200s. I don't think so. And man, he's just on fire right now, leading off again for the M's, getting you steals. I don't know why he is so, well, I do know why he's so under rostered. It's because he's been so horrible the last 5 years. But look, buy into it. He's getting you speed, he's getting you average, and he's scoring runs and, again, somehow driving in runs. And an even more veteran speedster who, honestly, I was ready to give up on, Cedric Mullins. He's starting to pick things up again. Very different situation here because he's actually on one of the better offenses in Baltimore. Well, I actually thought he might get moved or just discarded at the trade deadline because they have so much young talent. He's still there. He's still playing every day. And now they got him batting 6th, which I don't think he'll ever get that leadoff spot again. He's still stealing bases, and he is also actually driving runs. And unlike Robles, he does have some power. And he's put together a nice little 6-game hit streak. And during that time, he's got 3 stolen bases and 5 RBIs. Overall, it's been pretty disappointing for Mullins. Again, he's never replicating that career season he had a couple of seasons ago, but he's actually closing in on 30 steals for this year. The batting average isn't going to be exactly what's going to help you, but getting you some runs and some RBIs, he will give you the occasional home run, and again, that speed. And, we actually have more speed that's available in some leagues on the waiver wire. Josh Lowe of Tampa Bay, player had a lot of high hopes for coming off a massive season in 2023 and was a tremendous bust early in the season, not just because of injury, but he just could not buy a base hit. And the power has kind of disappeared. Now, the power is actually not back. That's one thing. Doesn't look like he's even getting close to 20 home runs this season, but he is stealing bases, and now he is at least heating up, trying to make up for that bad first half. Since the All-Star break, he's hitting .281, and he swiped 13 bags. Just since September 1st, so we're talking a few days here, he's got 4 steals. And it's not like he's lost his power. This is still a young hitter, and he's got it there, just isn't quite getting that sweet spot like we talked about with Taylor Ward. He's got a hard hit rate in the 79th percentile and a barrel rate in the 71st percentile, but yet only 9 home runs in 83 games. Now, playing in Tampa is part of it. It doesn't help. So again, right now, I'd say you need some speed, and you want a guy who's at least hitting for average these days. The counting stats are somewhat limited because of that offense, the state of the Rays. It's really still shocking to see the Rays this down bad this late in the season. But look, Lowe is finally making up for lost time. So if he's still out there, I think you can go and grab him. And before we get to pitchers, one more hitter, a youngster, in fact, our first rookie here. Let's look back at Kyle Manzardo. That's right. Remember, he got some time early in the season and was immediately sent down because, man, he just did not take advantage of that opportunity. In fact, in his first 82 at-bats, he hit .207, no home runs. Remember, this is a power-hitting corner infielder, first base. 23 strikeouts in 87 plate appearances. So he got some time to work things out in the minors, and he looks like a different guy, honestly, at the plate. It's only been a couple of games, but his very first game back up with the Guardians, 2 home runs. And then after that, a 3-hit game. And so, yes, small, tiny sample size, but 385 with a pair of home runs. And even better, first 14 plate appearances, only 3 strikeouts. I've been big on Manzardo since preseason. Sometimes this is all it takes for a rookie. Just get that wake-up call, get that first taste of major league action under your belt and out of your system, those struggles. So again, if this is a guy who's finally ready to live up to that potential, I'm in. Now, as far as pitching, let's start in New York. And arguably the hottest pitcher over the last couple weeks is David Peterson. It's David Peterson. I mean, he just posted his career best 11 strikeouts in a start, but it's not just that. He's on a string of 5 straight quality starts. Not sure exactly what it was with him, but as soon as the trade deadline was over and August hit, in 7 starts, he's gone 4-0 with a 1.91 ERA. And honestly, he's a big reason why the Mets are still in the hunt for the postseason because that rotation has been decimated. A lot of injuries and a lot of inconsistency. Peterson has been a rock for them and really should be a rock for a lot more fantasy teams. I mean, he's exactly 50% rostered across Yahoo leagues. I get it. A lot of teams are either out of it or stop paying attention, but that means he's still out there in some competitive leagues, and he shouldn't be. And the same goes for Clark Schmidt of the Yankees, although I know why he's available in half of fantasy leagues because he hasn't pitched for a long time. He's just set to get activated to the active roster for the first time since May 27th, and he was actually on the way to having his best season until that injury hit and he missed so much time. But getting back to the Yanks at a good time because they could use the help as well in that rotation. Look, before he got hurt, he was posting a 2.52 ERA, 1.14 WHIP, and a 27% strikeout rate. It's always tricky when you have a pitcher who misses this much time, so you might want to do kind of a stash, a wait and see, unless you really, really need him. I mean, he gets the Cubs, who, get it, they've been one of the worst offenses pretty much all year until the last few weeks. Now they're starting to pick it up. So I would be a little hesitant to roll him out there in that first start. And then it gets Boston. It could go either way. But he does make a strong stash. I've done it myself already. And I'm going to at least see how he does his first time out, maybe how far they push him as far as innings. And then if he continues what he's been doing, you got yourself basically a mid-rotation arm for the end of the season. Now, can you trust a rookie like David Festa of the Twins in your rotation the rest of the season, especially we're talking playoffs? Well, obviously, I think so. Now, part of it is that strikeout rate. He's been a little inconsistent, as all rookie pitchers are. In fact, his first two starts as a major leaguer were just horrible, which is why he got sent down. But again, just like I said, rookies need that struggle to be out of their system, go back, retool, and then come back stronger. That's exactly what he's done. In fact, in his last 8 starts, he hasn't allowed more than 3 runs in one of those starts. And his last 2 starts have been the best of the bunch. He's only allowed 2 runs in each of those, and both times, 7 strikeouts, only 1 walk. Talk about that strikeout rate, 29%, one of the better marks in the league. While I might have been a little overly optimistic on all these Twins starting pitchers based on the schedule, even bad teams have good games sometimes. RIP Zebby Matthews. But look, he gets the Angels next. I know the Angels have been hot with a bat, but it's still a good matchup on paper. They can't keep it going forever. And then he could possibly face teams like the Reds and the Marlins the rest of the way. So, no matchup that should scare you, and possibly some very good matchups on the horizon. And believe it or not, 3 potential closers that you could nab right now if they are still out there. So, Arizona, I guess it's Justin Martinez. Is it? I guess so. Look, AJ Puck has been great since he got there, but they're just not using him in the ninth inning for whatever reason. Of course, we know Paul Sewald out of that role, and I don't think he's getting it back. It looks like for the time being, it is Justin Martinez. He's got 8 saves already. Now, this still isn't a for sure thing. The ERA is good, 2.43, the whip. 1.3, not as good, and he has been a little shaky lately in the last couple of outings, but he's still 8 for 8 in save opportunities. And again, if he's the guy, you need saves, you go after him because Arizona is still winning a lot of games. But ironically, the guy who I feel better about and is somehow rostered in fewer leagues is a guy who has a ton of saves on his resume. We know Aroldis Chapman. And now it looks like he might be the guy for Pittsburgh. And I say that because, yes, Dennis Santana got a save the other day. I think that was just kind of random one-off thing. I mean, it's going to be Chapman, right? Not only has he been a closer for so many years, but he's been really good, especially since the second half started. An ERA of 2 and a 0.78 whip. In fact, he just notched his second save since David Bednar lost that job. Of course, you're never going to get, the Chapman of old. He's still pretty dang good, and he's getting you saves. Pirates, not going to win as many games as the D-backs, but when they do win a game, it's probably going to be a close one. And then, we started with an Angel. We're going to have to end with an Angel. Didn't think I would have to even advocate for Ben Joyce as a closing option, but I don't understand why he's only 1/3 owned in fantasy leagues. Clearly the guy for the Halos in the ninth inning. I know he only has 4 saves on the year, but he's the guy. And yes, we can just be impressed by the fact that he can throw 105 miles per hour. That alone should make you want to roster him. But look, he has not been bad. He hasn't had any rough patches. Got a 2.08 ERA, 1.15 whip. I mean, this guy looks like a future stud, and it could start now. I mean, you'd think the K rate would be higher, to be honest. The fact that he can just intimidate hitters with that fastball, 23% K rate. The command is still a work in progress, but he's not walking a lot of guys. I mean, look, I want this guy because he's going to help you in your ratios, and he will still get you some saves. I feel actually better about him than Martinez, even though Martinez does have more saves. This is more about team context, but just don't let him be out there on waivers. And it's not too late to stash some prospects that could get the call up and help you these last couple of weeks. This week's Beat the Breakout has some number 1 prospect for teams that could make an impact.